Hey, now we're live.
Hello.
Hey, and welcome to the Pop Cult Online Power Hour. I'm your host, Rick Gordon, and with me is my co-host, as always, Bob Retall. That's my,
Hello.
there he is.
Comic Con weekend for me. Long Beach Comic Con.
We will talk about that, but just right off the rip, I really got some pressing things, so this is definitely going to be a shorter episode, but we will come back later in the week to finish up because, unbeknownst to me, there was another comic convention in Long Beach. Apparently, they hold these things multiple times a year, and guess who went again? That's right, this guy, right down there. Can you see him? He's right
Right.
there. So tell us, what happened?
Well, it was kind of interesting because yesterday, I guess I had to leave the con for a family event that I didn't know about particularly because my brother scheduled it, and my dad called me Thursday night and said, "So we're gonna see you Saturday at the event, right?" And I'm like, "What event would that be? I got Comic Con this weekend." So I had to leave the con at noon and drive like 80 miles, went to this thing, and then I drove back because I was, so I got back around 4:35. I hit a panel, and then I went to dinner with some friends. Um, so I missed the main portion of the Saturday. But a guy who I normally buy comics from at Long Beach and at Phoenix, name's Ed Robertson, great comic dealer. He usually will get a hold of me before a con and, say, what are you looking for? And he knows the kind of stuff I like to buy. And, I'm not like all about getting the really high grade comics. I mean, I don't like them to be totally thrash, but I don't mind, a very good, you know, defined grade comics. So I let him know, and actually, and then he's so, I'll pull a bunch of stuff, and there'll be a lot of stuff in my $5, $10, and $2 boxes that you'll be interested in. So I let him know the day before. Well, actually, when I found out Thursday night, I'm like, Ed, man, I'm gonna not be there for a lot of the con on Saturday. And he's like, oh, no problem. I'm getting there to set up at 7:30 in the morning. Just come early, and I'll come out and give you an exhibitor's badge from my booth, and you can come in and shop the box. It's in his bed.
Nice.
I actually went in around 8 o'clock on Saturday, and I spent like an hour and a half going through his bins. I mean, what I bought on Saturday is this stack of comics here. And actually, it was that stack plus these two comics. So this is Journey into Mystery 88. So just a couple issues after Thor started up, and 97.
Very nice.
So those, and then amongst the, you know, things, I got, a bunch of action comics here, some adventure with Superboy and Cleopatra going on. I got some All-Star Western before Hex came on the
Oh,
scene.
nice.
I had never really seen these before.
Yeah, me neither.
Very cool. I look forward to reading them because, when I buy the back issues that I haven't read before, like if it's something that's been reprinted, like those Journey into Mysteries. I mean, I have them in a Marvel Masterworks, so I've read those stories, but I'll read, But look at that one.
Oh, I had
Comic
that.
book.
I think I still do, though. That's nice.
There's another one that'll play to your sweet spot.
Wow.
You like to ride around on the mystery of the Mardi Gras murders, riding around on the big dinosaur float. So I got a lot, and then there's a lot more stuff in here. I mean, I got like Rawhide Kid 100, and I got a bunch of issues of Sea Devils.
Nice.
These wonderful painted covers. So I mean, I got to sort through all this stuff, and I'll start putting pictures of it up on the Tumblr for Comic Spectrum. I've got back issue blog. So if you go on the Comic Spectrum site, on the back issue thing, there's a back issue blog. And I put photos of a lot of the back issues I buy. I got giant size Superman actually Superman Annual #4.
Mm-hmm.
That's the cool one. I got some Lois Lanes. This one cracks me up. This is always in Oddball Comics. This is like
Yeah,
Lois
that
whipping a Superman puppet. That's a classic. Here's the Batman's just shaking his head at Lois's crazy antics. Whatever. And then, the infamous, these crotch-centric Lois Lane covers. This one, they put it right in the bullseye, Like, get a look at this, lad. Buy this comic book. You know what's on your mind. And you look at these painted, covers.
Man, see, that's the stuff right there.
Awesome, right? So anyway, I got a couple of Weird Wars here.
Mm-hmm. Those are good.
So that was my Saturday haul. So I got this huge haul on Saturday. That was fairly pricey because these weren't the cheap ones. But he still, Ed still gives me a hell of a deal on a lot of this stuff. But then I went back today, same deal, even though I wasn't having to go away during the day. He let me keep that exhibitor badge, so I went early again today. And I'm just going to hold this up in phases. Phase 1. This is not the same stack that I'm holding up. 2, and then I can get it here. 3. So let me lift up into camera the whole stack.
That's a good size haul for a day.
Impressive stack of comic books, right?
That's a decent pile of books right there. Yeah.
And I gotta show you just a couple out of here.
Wait a minute. I smell Harvey books on the top. Am I right?
Not on a. Well, there's a couple of Dells on the top.
Okay.
There's some interesting ones here. These are ghost stories. I mean, but the covers on them are great.
Those. Yeah.
And I don't think I have any from this series. I mean, because I didn't get that many Dell comics.
Yeah, that's a handful.
There were a lot of Tomahawk comics in this group.
Nice.
Which is funny because, he's a frontier hero for DC, and he's fighting giant purple gorillas and stuff, and it's like, what kind of crazy business is, that? But here's some that'll resonate with you. Look at Sad Sack going on.
Oh, my God, that is beautiful.
I got a lot of Sad Sacks here that are all these giant-sized Sad Sacks. I got 2, 4, 7 of them.
Now, let me ask you, before you got these, did you have a lot in your collection?
I don't have any I have read Sad Sack before when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. These are the kinds of things that I would have read before I started collecting comics seriously. That just got lost to the annals of time, like some Sad Sacks, Little Dot, Baby Huey, that. But I don't have any of those comics in my collection at this point. So when I saw these cheap, those were $2 cover price.
Mm-hmm.
So I pulled out from today, I pulled 30 books out of the $5 box, which is $150. I pulled about 50, I pulled about 50 books out of the $2 box. So that's more than that, maybe 60 out of the $2 box. So that's like another 120. So what is that, like 270? And then I pulled a couple of sets that were another 20, so close to $300 worth of comics. And he gave it to me for $180.
Nice.
Which is a nice deal.
That is a good deal. Now, do you find yourself, I know lately you've been really digging back in the Atomic Age, for lack of a better term. Is that your thing now?
Well, the thing is that I have, except for like some of the really expensive ones, I have everything in the Silver Age forward, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So I need to go back to the Atomic Age And some of the '60s, like this Harvey. So you do have Harveys, in the sad sack realm here, and then all these tomahawks and stuff. This is '50s and '60s, right? It depends on the cover price.
Go specs. Yeah.
Then I got Binky. There was
Nice.
one Binky in the $2 box. This is something that's kind of messed up. This is Archie's World, and he's wearing all these hats, and it's by Spire Christian Comics.
Oh, I've got a handful of those. Yeah.
And it was really expensive because it's 39 cents, and it's like, for as old as this is, for 39 cents, that has been like partially donation to the church or something. I don't know. Look at this Jughead comic with the witches on it.
That is what issue is that?
82.
Ooh,
$2.
not bad.
Got this old, Jughead's Jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Got old Betty and Me, and old Archie here. Got some Two Gun Kid sub 100.
Nice.
I mean, there's just he had a lot of the stuff, and then like here we're going off again into stuff that I didn't really have. Look at this. You ever seen that before?
I haven't seen that.
Mysteries of Unexplored Worlds, number 43. So it's like it's been going on
Who's the
for years. And it's from CDC.
Oh, Charlton.
Yeah, so
Cool.
like some dude with some bikini girls, and here we've got Midnight Tales and Ripley's Believe It or Not True Ghost Stories from Gold Key.
There was something about those covers that really scared me, probably to adulthood. And I really, whenever I see them now, I try to grab them. But I think it was the painted covers were really, they scared me when I was a kid.
And we got a Rod Serling's Twilight Zone here.
Yeah, very good.
I mean, these are, to me, if I see these things and they're in a $2 box, I can't resist. I mean, I got some Secrets of the Haunted House, Weird Mystery Tales.
You've got Secrets of the Haunted House?
Yeah.
Let me see that, my friend.
Let's see. I got Secrets of the Haunted House number 3.
Wow, I like that.
Weird Mystery Tales number 14. And on the Marvel side of the house, Weird Wonder Tales. That was the last issue. I now have a complete run of Weird Wonder Tales.
Wow.
Last issue I needed.
I don't even remember that book.
It was one of the, like, kind of Where Creatures Roam, Where Monsters Dwell, where they had the reprints of the old stuff.
Okay.
Here we got Witching Hour. Look, the cover on this is awesome. On Ghost Story, it's got this painted cat.
Wow. Nice.
A bunch of Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos. And another teen one, Swing with Scooter, number 3.
Scooter.
4. Number 5. Number 6. And number 9.
Very good. That's your entire weekend right there. We could do episodes on all these books.
5 issues of that. Now, another one that's like really weird. Well, I got to get to it because I don't know where the other one is. Let's go down through here. So, Son of Tomahawk turned into Son of Tomahawk.
Nice.
At one point, and it's like Joe Kubert covers on these things. Another book that I had never heard of or seen in my life, and it's Ditko covers. I haven't looked at the interiors yet. It's called Baron Weirwolf's Haunted Library. Look at that.
What?
Look at that business. Look at that Steve Ditko like comic strip on the cover. I'm trying to get the glare off of it. You see, that is awesome. Like I said, I got to get pictures of a lot of these up on my blog, and then I got Charlton Midnight Tales. Some awesome covers on these things. I had never heard of this book before. You know, when I'm looking through a stack of comics and it's like, man, I have never seen that before, you know, that's like, okay, I'm all over that. Here we got Flyman, 33 through 39.
Oh, I've got those, yeah.
And it just, like, I'm missing, like, I think it turned into Flyman at 32. Up to 31 was Adventures of Flyman. So, I mean, almost a complete set of those. I got, never heard of this before, Daring Adventures.
Nope, never heard of it.
What's the deal there? This is, I don't even know who published this. Got some guy dressed in a Union, you know, kind of cavalry outfit fighting in
What's the
India.
cover price on that?
12 cents.
Nice.
Judo Master.
Yeah, got a couple of those.
You know, and he's now a DC. You know, he turned in, well, not in the New 52, doesn't exist, but he turned into a DC character at some point. Okay, so these are ones I was looking for. Okay, so back in the 60s, Dell turned classic monsters into superheroes. You remember the Dracula as a superhero? I
Yep.
have Dracula as a superhero. You ever seen the werewolf one as a superhero?
No.
Issues 1, issue 2, issue 3 of Werewolf.
If you weren't holding
Superhero
that,
werewolf,
I would
the
say
only
you're making it up.
superhero, super spy werewolf in the world. Well, I'll give you that, guys. That's some crazy business, and he's fighting some Chinese communist here on the cover of the first issue.
So wait a minute, how does that fit in with the comic code? What year do you think that book is?
Well, let's crack it open and find out.
Oh my God, he's opening it, folks.
Good thing it's not in a slab. It would just take me longer to crack it out. I tell you, I'm missing only one issue of Green Lantern. I'm missing issue 7 now. And Ed had a copy of number 7, but it was slabbed and it was 6.5, and the amount of money he wanted for it was a reasonable price. It was a good price for that book, for a slabbed 6.5 book. I got all these other comic books for what I could have just got that one. I got like 140 comic books, or I could have had that one slab comic book. And that's kind of like, for me, it's just, I'd rather have these 140 crazy comic books. Okay, April 1967.
Wow.
Werewolf.
So I'm going to assume that the fact that they made him a superhero is how they slipped it by the comic code, I would assume.
Well, that's interesting, because this says number 3 on the inside. He had number 1 written on the outside. Maybe this one that he has written as number 3 is the one that's actually the number 1. Let's take a look. Because these didn't have numbers on the cover. You know, Dell, a lot of times, they just have those crazy codes on them. They didn't have, you know, like this one's got like 12-920-704. What? Okay. Let's see. Yeah, so the one he had marked as number 3 is the one that's actually number 1. So this is number 1. This other one is number 3. So I'm going to assume that the one that's marked as number 2 is actually number 2. But that was cool. I had never seen that one before. I knew about the Dracula one, and I'm guessing there must be a Frankenstein or a mummy running out there somewhere. I'm going to have to look them up.
Yeah.
Here's a Korak, another teen book. We got another, well, actually, I had some Sling with, here's another Sling with Scooter, number 12. And then what do I got here? Filling out the pile is this a whole bunch more Tomahawks.
You didn't happen to run into that Wilkin boy, did you?
I did not see any of that Wilkin boy, but look at that.
Hey, it's got a gorilla. It's good enough for me.
It's a purple gorilla. You know, I've got to save that boy down there. But does Colosso remember me as his friend or as his enemy?
Oh, man.
That's Colosso, man. And then here you got like some sea monkey Indians going on down here with this big weird lionfish. there was some crazy stuff going on the frontier of the 50s DC. Some crazy, crazy stuff. So anyway, that happened. So that was comics, right? Then Tone Rodriguez, he's a great, great guy. Does a lot of, primarily he's kind of art. I mean, he's done in the past Shadowhawk. He does Bongo comics. He does some really nice sketch covers. He did this sketch cover for me. And then I bought, at a previous con, I got this script drawing of like the Batman family. And at this con, I got the bad guys.
Oh, nice.
So I'm going to frame those together.
Mm-hmm.
11 by 17 frame, kind of sideways. I think that'll look nice. Get some nice backing color, maybe royal blue, something like that. And then Richard Starkings of Elephant Men fame. This one was a little hard to see, but he did a picture of Hip Flask sitting on a big pile of comic books. You can see those comics there.
Oh.
I'll put a scan of this up. But he left all the covers blank. He drew in the logos and said, he says, Bob, he gave it to me today, like not till about 2 or so. But he's like, go around and get people to fill in the covers. You know, they'll fill in the cover for you. So I went and I got like Will Portacio, drew a little Wolverine on the X-Men. Bob Layton did an Iron Man.
Right.
Brian Buccellato did a Flash. I got Chris Burnham did Batman. Tim Bradstreet did a little Punisher. I got a whole bunch of people, and then I don't have all of them filled in, but I'll bring this back at like other cons and get some more of these comics filled in.
Great.
And he wrote on it, man, how does Bob Bretal find time to read all his comic books? What Hip Flask is in his word balloon up here in the upper right. So
that's awesome.
Anyway, so that's going to get framed and go up on the wall. And then in Comic-Con news, I got this painting of Spider-Man and the Sinister Six by Glenn Fabre off of an online auction.
That is gorgeous. Gorgeous.
So I got to get that framed and put up, and I mean, it's just, I had a good time. I brought my Guinness book there, and I gave copies of it to several people. I gave Richard a copy when he did that drawing for me. I gave him a copy, and gave the guys at some of the publishers copies, and just generally had a fairly good time for a couple of days. But I always like Comic-Cons. I love comics, and it's kind of funny though. I mean, I like the Long Beach Comic-Con, but a lot of the dealers were talking, because they go out of their way and they bring a lot of cosplayers in, which cosplayers are great, but a lot of them are really into the costuming, and they're not that much into necessarily buying comic books. They like the look of it, but then when you're a dealer or a publisher at the show, you're not turning that into like sales or anything like that. So, kind of, it's a business for these guys. You got to, whenever you're at a con, if the people who are displaying at that con, they like being there and they like the fans, but it's a business proposition to them. And if they are losing money coming out to the con, they're not going to keep on coming out to the con. So you've got to, patronize the people that you like if you want to see them still there. I mean, there was one, I won't name names, but there was one very, very currently popular creator who had a big line on Saturday and today, all the way up to the end of the show. I mean, the show floor was open till 5, and I think I left at 4:30, and they still had a line. And they were great, and they were signing all these things well. one of the booths they had a special variant cover comic by of a book that this creator's doing, and I think they were selling it for $20, which is not outlandish for a variant cover comic that they make. I don't know, 500 copies of, whatever copies of it. So what I was talking to them because I know them for years. I've been when they didn't have this big line, so I kind of just jumped the line and said I just wanted to say hi. I can't stand in line for 2 hours to say hi, and they're talking to me. And how's your show doing? And like, I'm selling way less prints and all this other stuff because people are all buying this variant cover, which is great, but they spent their money on the variant cover, and then they spent their money, and it's just like now not buying stuff from me. This is kind of a plus and minus of these things. It's like really great for the dealer who is selling the variant cover, but not so great for this creator who's come out to the con and they're sitting there autographing these variants, and they're not really making it because they're not charging people for their autograph.
Right. Huh.
So it's just interesting. It's kind of a give and take on that, and I saw certain creators were very very strong lines, and then a lot of other people. It's just again the really popular Marvel DC kind of creators. They've got very strong interest, and then like a lot of the indie guys, just very standard. If you don't have a really hardcore diverse comic audience, you kind of like hit that broad spectrum of the public. They come in for the superheroes. So then when you got a lot of people with kind of creator-owned stuff, there's not as much. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff, but these guys are small publishers. They put out like their little book, and it's they got to charge $5 a piece for it or whatever because they don't get the printing prices that a Marvel or a DC gets, and people are like, $5, $10, they buy this print, and not everyone's got like this limitless pile of cash. Mine's not limitless, but it's a lot deeper than some people's, and I can buy things, and a lot of these other people can't. The demographics skewing younger, which is in one respect a really good thing. I think it's great to have younger people, but at the same time, younger people tend to be a little more strapped for cash. So, by the time they pay their 40, 30, 40, whatever, for tickets to this thing, and they come to the con and there's parking or transportation to it, and, they're having their, $8 hot dog for lunch and, whatever else is going on. They buy a couple of variant cover comics or a print from this creator that they like. Well, there's not any money left to spend at the other creators. But it's a good con, I think, for me, from a back issue standpoint. There's a number of dealers that were, had good selection of back issues for people who collect trade paperbacks. There were several guys there selling, the discounted, trade paperbacks and hardcovers. There were a lot of creators there selling their own stuff, doing sketches, selling prints, just a lot of variety, So if you had some money jingling around in your pocket to buy stuff, you had that. There were a lot of good panels that I unfortunately missed. Several panels that I was kind of wanting to see during the middle of the day yesterday because I had to be gone. But I caught a couple of good panels today. There was one on it's called Getting Away with It, writing crime fiction. And it had several, like among them, Jimmy Palmiotti was on the panel, the guys who were writing Alex Sinclair and Kyle Higgins, who are writing a book called Cowl, the Chicago Organized Workers League. Very cool book. It's the superheroes in Chicago organize into a labor union, and they help the police department. And it's set in the '60s. You get, kind of social. They were pointing out, it's like, yeah, you can do social issues as long as you set them not in the current day. It's a lot easier.
Nice.
And the Jamie S. Rich was on the panel. Richard Starkings, who does Elephant Men, and Jen did this great drawing for me. He had a panel talking about 10 years of Elephant Men. There was an Afterlife with Archie panel from Archie. Archie was one of the publishers that was there. But great show, it's beautiful in Long Beach this time of year. After the show, we left a little bit before the show floor closed last night, but a bunch of friends and I and Janine came, and Steven, and we had dinner at the barbecue restaurant across the street, kind of along the waterfront in Long Beach Harbor.
Very nice. Very nice.
So, it was a good time.
It was a beautiful day on this side of the country too. Becca and I took a long, long motorcycle ride. The leaves are starting to change colors, so we went to a car show. I was about 2 hours away, and just took our time, saw the sights, and enjoyed the day. So, but I do have to run, and I do want to finish this up probably Wednesday, if that's okay.
Sure.
I have a couple of questions as to the differences between, the earlier con that you went to and this one, and I have been reading some new books, and I also have a major project underway that was given to me by somebody where I'm reading every issue of Judge Dredd.
Wow.
It's a book I've never read before, so...
Do you have that in trade paperback or something? How are you getting your hands on every issue of Judge Dredd?
Digital, my friend, digital. I've spent a ton of money on digital. So I've started in 1977, and it's interesting, and I'm just going to have to keep slogging away at it. So we'll keep you updated on that. And
a lot of black and white, right?
Yeah. And then I'll also talk about me playing the video game Destiny with Marv Wolfman for hours, because that was a lot of fun. But that'll be later in the week. So, your plugs.
Oh, well, you see right down here, comicspectrum.com. Go check it out. Again, you see I put a whole bunch of stuff up. I put up a page on the Guinness World Record. I put the full interview I did with Guinness, in addition to the common answers to questions that I saw on the internet when that story hit. And plus, for if you're interested in new comics, there is reviews. I put up new reviews every day of the week. There's at least one comic book review, and then we put up occasionally collected edition reviews and back issue reviews, much more infrequently, although you said you were going to give me some back issue reviews, so I'd love to get some back issue reviews.
Still working. I got 2 articles I'm working on, 2 columns.
And then, for back issues, I just started up a few weeks ago that back issue blog that I was talking about. It's like a Tumblr. So I will take shots of a lot of these old back issues that I'm getting my hands on and put them up in there. And they're fun covers to look at. It's cool. And for new comics, I do have the solicitation roundups. That's under news, current solicits. There's also a big picture of a previews catalog on the homepage. If you click on that, it'll bring you to links to all the solicits. I don't recopy them, but I mean, they're on the major news sites. It's just like if you don't catch them within the day that they go up, they're really difficult to find. They usually get buried in the wash of news on Comic Book Resources, Comics Continuum, Newsarama, Major Spoilers, Bleeding Cool. Lots of different sites carry them. In fact, to find all the different ones, I usually have to visit at least 3 to 5 different sites. So I put the links to all the current solicits all in one place. So if you visit my current, bookmark my current solicits page, you want to see what's coming up next month, the month after, you can just click through and see pictures of and read descriptions of all the stuff that's coming out in upcoming months. And I also do a blog, one just went up, it's on my blog page called Flying Below the Radar, where I try to pick, when I read through the solicits, what looks cool, but that, you know, if it's not like just the big thing, you mostly indie stuff, right? I don't necessarily put a lot of Marvel and DC because most people know about Marvel and DC. They get a lot of play on Newsarama and Comic Book Resources. DC did get a spot from me this month because they're in December. They have common variants now. Instead of doing all just 1 in 10, 1 in 25, they do a set now the variant covers that are separately orderable line items, so your shop can order those for you for regular price. And in December, Darwin Cook is doing a whole series of variants, like 18 or 20 of them in landscape mode. So they'll be, like this. And they got some pictures of them. They're gorgeous. So I'm sure DCBS, when they put out their thing, they'll be selling them probably as a package deal where you can probably get all of them for 50% off or something.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a good way to try DC, but it's like for me, I am absolutely, if DCBS has that package, I'm buying it just for those covers. All those I love Darwin Cook's superhero art. I don't know about you.
I've loved his work forever. All right, cool. All right, and that's this shortened episode, so come back and see us.
Half hour.
Come back and see us in a couple of days and read some comics.